Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Sporting160EN podcast number 175. And indeed, we are fucking shit, as the title says. Before we get into anything else, though, if you haven't been made aware, you can win a sporting jersey from us truly. If you wanted it still this season, I don't know why you would, because we're a bit shit. So, I mean, but if that's something you're interested in, make sure you go over to our Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube as well. Take a screenshot and send it to us. We will do a randomizer and we will select one lucky winner to win a sporting shirt of their choice from Loja Verde, and we'll pay for shipping as well. Like I said, all you have to do is subscribe to us and take a screenshot as proof and reply. But now we've got that admin out of the way, let me introduce you to my wonderful co-host. First, we've got the main man from Canada, Mr. Rich. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. It's been a rough week, hasn't it? We lose to Porto. The next day I get some sort of bubonic plague, so I was out of commission for 3 days. Finally feeling better, and then we tied them, whatever the hell they're called. Just a rough week. It's not a good week in all, but we're here now. This is our therapy session, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And last but not least, we've got probably a broken-hearted man, lost the Super Bowl, and now an awful game for Sporting, Mr. Chris. How you doing today, man?
And actually lost the Classico the same day as the Super Bowl, just earlier in the day.
That's
yeah.
So yeah, man, it's been a tough string of setbacks. Probably, I mean, obviously could have easily lost today as well. Feels like a loss despite the draw. And honestly, it really is like the game never happened because of the new away goals rule. Can just kind of write it off. 0-0 basically. You think they'd be able to go to Denmark and get a result. They've had more complicated away trips, but yeah, I'll never rule anything out, especially this season. Yeah, I guess let's get into it.
Yeah, and we're being hopefully going to be joined by Mr. Danny Saldana as well later on. And also don't forget to follow the podcast as well on TikTok. Obviously, subscribe to YouTube and Twitter, and also follow myself if you want to here. Without further ado, let's stop all the chatter and get straight into the game that's more fresh in our memory, and that is Sporting versus Midtjylland. The lineup is as followed when it shares. So we've got Adan, only made 2 mistakes this season, guys, in goal. Only 2.
You texted that to me. I wanted to jump through my phone and smack you.
So we've got only 2 mistakes in goal for Adan. St. Just, who's actually fit for once in his life. Coates on one knee. Matheus Reis, who was just absolutely awful. Nuno Santos can't cross a ball. Esgaio looks like he's fresh out of prison with his haircut. Ugarte was good, to be fair. Pot missed 2 open goals. Arthur Gomez was literally not on the pitch. He was awful. Edwards, okay, fine. Paulinho was also shit. And Trincao, Bellerin, Chimiti, Inacio, and Talongo, who literally, I feel like every single game has gotten a yellow card without doing anything else. Someone might have to fact check that. But anyway, Rich, I'll start for you. What were your thoughts?
Roast Master Sam in the house today, but I agree. This was absolute dog shit. This was like the Rio Ave game, just replayed. This was so bad. We came out looking scared against a team that hasn't played because they've been on a winter break for 2.5 months, and they're sitting 7th place in the Danish table. Are you joking me? This is a wet fart of a game. This was so bad. No one showed any urgency. It was hilarious how even when we created chances, we were so wasteful. It was just awful. I don't want to waste this much time on this team. They were so bad. There's nothing good to say about this game. Everyone looked bad. No one showed urgency. No one could take their chances. It was brutal. It was awful. This was a shit performance from a shit team.
Yeah, it's a fact. Chris, what have you got to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the I don't know what was more poor, parts of the second half or the first 30 minutes or so. Just the first 30 minutes, they couldn't even carve anything out. They got some chances towards the end of the first half, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest, they look like a team that hadn't played in 2.5 months. Just they were not good. They were not dangerous in any way. They were even less dangerous than us. I would say more of the game was at least played in their half, but it felt like the only way they were going to score was from one of our errors. Like Kawats misplayed a pass and turned it over one time. Like it felt like if they were going to score, it was going to be a mistake, which is eventually how they did score. Yeah. So I guess I could feel that one coming in the first half if they were going to score. But yeah, I mean, we could shit on Amorim for like just. It seems like he has no ability to adapt, like ever. Like he's not going to change anything really ever. We can say that there's another shit attendance, under 40K at the weekend for the Classico, which is shit, and then 23K tonight, both just adding on to the misery. No lift from the stands. You know, those are the types of things that you can like. In a game like this where it's just doldrums, you know, maybe the crowd can actually pick you up a little bit. Like that is an advantage of playing at home, but it's not.
You don't have an advantage playing at home anymore.
That's not going to happen.
It's negligible at best. It's not.
That's not going to happen here.
We have more fan support at away games than we do at home, and that's just
they're louder at away games too than at home too, for the most part. It's brutal. Like, I don't know how it comes across live, but on broadcast it comes across like a library at the Avalon.
At the end of the day, you know, it's just go to Denmark, basically 0-0. But I mean, we should have won this game 3-0. This team was not good enough. This team did not create enough chances. This team was just like they didn't have the individual talent. A couple players that stood out a little bit to me, but nothing really in particular. Like Rich mentioned earlier, they're in 7th. Not even, you know, they weren't even having active a season prior to this. Yeah, I mean, it's just a team that we should be beating. No disrespect to them, and we're just not up to that level right now. We could lose to anyone, any given game, any given day. We could lose to the opposition.
Yeah. I'm literally lost for words because we were that bad, and like Amorim is, I think, 100% to blame. And then I know Adon's
a scapegoat. Adon's a scapegoat because he's shite and he's made a mistake. But I mean, we need to be scoring 3 goals minimum in this game. You know?
Yeah,
that as well. All three of us said against Marseille that he should have been dropped. You can't just give a key. I know there's stuff for confidence, but he has let in so many goals this season. He single-handedly took us out of the Champions League.
Remember the one where he cut it back when the defender was on-rushing?
Yeah. And he did that this game as well, and it worked.
He did that today.
Even when he did it still annoyed me.
I'm like, I was like, I had a heart attack. I'm like, what are you doing?
But like, Amorim, he doesn't do the players any favours. We were 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go. We have Roshinha, Giovanni, and Fatau on the bench. He brings on Gonzalo Inacio, a defender, and Tanlongo, a midfielder, for Ugarte, who was our best player on the pitch by miles. Why? Why is Inacio coming on when we need forwards? We need attacking. Pedro Gonzalez was awful all night. Arthur Gomez was awful all night. Edwards, you could say at least was trying to do something, was also awful. Just kept falling down, almost diving to every single little bit of contact. He was on the floor. Paulinho, man, I'm his biggest defender, but this game
he had a howler today.
Non-existent. 12 touches. He had 12 touches in the whole game.
I think I'm done with Paulinho at the moment.
In about 70 minutes, that's just not good enough.
Like every single attack, every single time he should have been in the box, he runs to the front post, and I don't understand why. Because how are you going to turn your body to try and score? Run to the front post every time.
He loves the near post run, and it works like 1% of the time. Thank God it worked against Boavista in the last game of the season in May 2021, because that's how that goal went in.
That's brutal.
Yeah, and the defenders just stopped tracking him because they were like, "What's the
point?"
They're
like, "We're not going to waste our time. He's not going to do anything. He's not a danger man."
Exactly, and just like I said, Dan single-handedly eliminated us from the Champions League, and now obviously we got the draw, but he still could be this game, this Europa League as well. He also was at fault for the Taça de Liga final, that first goal when he tried to catch it, and obviously the game could have gone differently. You could say we still could have lost 4-5-0 if he doesn't like.
The point is, you got to make that initial save, and you go from being tied in a game that you've controlled up to that point to now you're playing 1-0 down. And all season we've seen this team does horribly when playing from behind. So you're basically playing handicap at that point. That's the issue at play here. That's the point we're making. Is if you're not playing 1-0 down, you've always got a chance to win. You can't lose if you're not getting scored on.
that and the cheek of Adan in the interview before the game saying, "I've only made 2 mistakes all season." He made 2 mistakes in that Marseille game alone.
Oh, just in that game.
And I just like, he's obviously, I don't know if he's trolling or he's being blissfully unaware, but like, I don't understand how you can say that with a straight face and say, I've only made 2 mistakes, but I believe I'm at my best, and then go out and do that. It's just unbelievable. And I think he's 35. Just give the youngsters a shot, man. Kalai is in the B team, and he seems like a good prospect. Give him some game time. We bought Frank Israel for what, $1 million, and he's just sat on the bench, played 1 game all season.
Yeah. It was the game, and it was the game that Adan had to
that he literally had to put him in.
So he threw the poor kid to the wolves.
Hell, Andre Paulo is there for whatever reason, to make up the numbers, to be a cheerleader or something. Give him a go. You'd be better than him.
If they go out next week, which wouldn't shock me at this point, like I don't think it would shock anybody, bench him. Because you have nothing to play for. You have zero things to play for. You're out of the. You lost Costa Liga. You're going to be out of Europe. You're out of the Tasa. You're sitting in 4th place by a good margin. You're going to need a miracle to even catch up to 3rd, let alone 2nd if you want automatic Champions League. You have nothing to play for except hold down Conference League at this point. Just who cares? Play the kids. Yeah. You have very little to lose.
Exactly. And I was saying earlier, like, no disrespect to Madrid and what Chris said, they hadn't played for 3 months. They were awful. Their forwards couldn't control the ball. They barely had any possession. They were constantly caught out by the back. And I said at half time, if we don't win this by these 3 goals, then it's going to be a failure. And we end up drawing, not even scoring a goal in literally the 94th minute, which is like shades of 2021. But it's like we're losing and we're drawing, and it literally means nothing. Like Chris said, it going literally in like a 0-0 because away goals don't count.
Away goals mean squat unless you go in with a lead now. Like, goals don't matter in the first leg if you tie the first leg.
But the thing is, with this team, is the main issue. They do not have any desire. Even we were 1-0 down. Nuno Santos, pass backwards, always going backwards. They were scared to go up. Paulinho was scared to go up. Paulinho was scared to shoot. Edwards kept falling down for no reason. Otto Gomez, I don't know what he was even doing.
Edwards had a chance to shoot on goal, and he decided to dive instead.
Yeah.
At one point.
No, yeah, he had a couple dives today, Edwards, actually. Yeah.
He had one where he probably could have at least got a shot on target, and he decided to go to ground instead.
And Artur missed that open goal. Pop missed an open goal like 10 minutes after. We had so many. It's not like we had no chances and like the Midtjylland defended very well. It was the opposite. They were open so many times. We just cannot finish. And the thing is with the starting lineup as well, it's due to Amorim. Why is Mateus Reis playing instead of Inacio or Diamonde?
Why is Paulinho?
Why is Paulinho starting? Chimeti scored the last.
That's the other thing is Chimeti's probably been in maybe the best run of games that a forward has been for us in a while.
Yeah.
Scored multiple goals. He's had one disallowed. I mean, I don't know how he doesn't continue starting, I'll be honest.
Like, that's what blows my mind is not just the substitution.
I mean, surely he has to start at the weekend. Or is he just going to run it back again?
If he runs his lineup back in on the weekend, I'm not even watching the game. That's disgraceful. It's not even the substitution.
It'll be exactly the same, except it'll be Trincão back in for Artur.
That's the thing. It's not even just the subs that don't make sense. It's the starting lineups that make little sense. Like, I'm sorry. I know his guy who gets a lot of hate. He's useless. He is so afraid to go on the attack. He
can't go forward in like
when you give him the ball, you're basically not making no forward. You're making lateral progress at best. You're not.
I will say this game, I was impressed by this guy. I thought he
just didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything.
But there were so many times that he went on the attack and he was wide open. And he was calling for the ball.
Yeah, he was wide open one time in particular. He was. Yeah, they just didn't give it to him. A lot of times you could tell Edwards doesn't want to play him the ball in advanced position because he knows that nothing good can come from it.
They're not gonna make any when you give the ball to his guy.
The options are dribble or play it to Esgaio on the end line. He's just gonna dribble himself every fucking time. Which, and to be honest, I don't blame him because Esgaio has just shown no ability to do anything productive going forward.
When you give him the ball, you're not making any progress.
You just gotta hope he doesn't turn it over and just passes it backwards and just consider that a W.
You're making at most a lateral pass at best. You're making lateral you're not making any forward progress up the pitch on an attack. you're going backwards, and at best, you're going to be going sideways.
I guess he starts because he felt bad because of the weekend. But I mean, even putting him in weekend was idiotic to begin with.
I don't know why you would start him today. I'm sorry. That decision baffles me. After what happened on the weekend, like, why would you want to start the guy? Like, I'm sorry. It's brutal.
Facts. And the wild Danny has appeared. How are you doing?
From out of nowhere.
And had to start drinking right away from that performance. That last hour of work, it was fucking dreadful, bro. Dreadful. On that Ishgayu point, let me also add.
Take the floor because we've all given our points in this game, so it's down to you.
Game, so sick. Okay. From the start, from the 11, Paulino coming in first and foremost. I know we probably all shat on him. I've seen Sam publicly shit on him today on Twitter, which is fucking.
And I did hear as well.
He did hear as well.
But it was wild from the start because, I mean, Shermiti, scored a goal against Porto. Shermiti's not the savior by any stretch of the imagination, right? But if the kid's scoring and he's had a few games now that back-to-back that he scored, why is he on the bench on probably the only competition that matters now? Ishgayu. I've never seen a manager sub in a guy, sub him off 15 minutes later, and the next game, he starts him. That was clearly a sympathy start.
That blows my mind.
I've never seen that before.
Someone allowed that to happen.
Exactly. I was a little happy that we're finally benching Trincão for Artur until I realized it's fucking Artur and it's not that much of a fucking difference, really.
Bro, he was reminding me today of a lot of kids that I've played with like pickup, bro. Like the way he was just like dribbling slowly so much.
Yeah.
I've seen that player before.
He was a pickup game hero today in the worst way.
It's painfully frustrating to play with someone doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, bro. And bro, I try not to shit on the guy too much because I was shitting on him since he came in. He had that moment of brilliance in Tottenham, so I'm like, okay, maybe let me give this guy a real chance, bro. Dreadful. So awful. Dreadful. He tries to constantly take guys on, and he how many duels did he win today? Like 1 out of like 12 or 13. I wish I had that stat up. That's horrible. I can't wait for Morita to come back because Pot is like ineffective. I don't think Pot had that bad of a game per se, but he can't be our midfielder. It's horrible. It was really just Ugarte.
Not in this system, he can't.
Exactly. I agree. If he's a midfielder, he's a 10. He can't play as an 8. He's too small. Edwards was good. Edwards is probably our only real good player. Maybe second to, I mean, St. Just didn't do anything special in my eyes. And the last point that I'll make on this game that I feel like I've been saying for a year and a half now is Zan. He's so fucking awful. But maybe now it's his third mistake, Sam. You're on mute, Sam. Maybe now it's his third mistake.
He's only made 2 mistakes, Danny, as well.
3 now. 3 today.
3 if you count today.
Fucking horrible. This guy's only made 2 mistakes in the last fucking month, and it's the shortest fucking month, and we're 2 weeks in. And we probably only had 2 fucking games to play.
All in big games as well, against Porto in the final, in Marseille, when we literally a win would have taken us through to the next round, pretty much.
Yeah,
a win would have meant all we needed to do was to draw like our last 2 games.
It's at the point now where he makes a stop that's like an above average stop. I'm surprised. Like he had one save today around like minute 50 where he actually had to lay out. I was shocked, to be honest.
Baffled.
Even against Porto, I know I forget if you guys talked about Porto last pod or not, but even against Porto, there was one save where he made where I was shocked he made it.
Yeah,
because everything else was just goes through him. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I'm gonna have 2 more points and then I'll ask another question. But I thought to give credit where it's due, Kouate has made 2 very good tackles to save a goal at the start of the game. Yeah. I thought he was great, but what Chris said in the group chat, he doesn't look the same player as he did 2 years ago. He
looks hurt.
Yeah, he is definitely playing through something, and I respect him for it. But there's a time where it's probably going to get even worse as he's playing, and then we're going to look even worse. But Coates was fantastic, obviously scoring the goal at the end as well. Literally, that was 2021 Coates.
That's a great save by the keeper initially, because I actually think he keeps it off the bar. And then Coates has to touch it in. Like, he had to do that.
He had no choice, yeah.
Yeah, that as well. And I was going to say, I thought St. Just was good. Like Danny said, he wasn't anything special, but I still think, given more time, he will become good. He makes them forward runs, and I feel like he can be a danger. He had some good crosses as well. Some awful ones too.
He was a better right back playing right center back than Ishgayu was all game.
Yeah. And the other point I was going to make is, man, where is Roshinha? What more does he have
love
to do?
Roshinha.
No, bro. No. Can you imagine if Roshinha plays? That's even worse.
All I'm saying is, 2 games ago, he brought on Jovan, who was leaving the club, who was out, he was gone.
That's true.
And he brought him on.
Jovan's been leaving the club for 3 years, by the way. That's how stupid this fucking team is.
Franco Israel has gotten more game minutes, it feels like, than Roshinha has this season. And he's played 1 game. Like, what more does he have to do? To I don't know if there's a training issue.
Yeah, he must be like the worst training. He must be just so bad in training.
He must be a horrible guy.
I just don't think he's that guy.
Bro, Esgaio gets unlimited opportunities, dude.
I don't think he's that guy, but I don't think Artur is that guy. I don't think
Artur gets so many chances, to be honest.
I don't think anybody on this team has, as the kids say, that dog in them. I don't think anybody's got that dog in them on this team. I don't think anybody's the guy.
There's a handful. It's just Nuno Sanch.
Yeah,
has that dog in him, but he doesn't. He's just, I don't know. Quats might have that dog in him. That's about it.
That's about it. It's not a big dog either. It's like an average sized dog at best.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Plot has the poodle in him, maybe. No, a Shih Tzu.
Plot's got
They're
a fucking
aggressive
chihuahua.
As fuck. They're constantly yeah, exactly, like a chihuahua, sort of like that. They're constantly barking, but they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, they're going to do shit.
But yeah, my next question was going to be: do you think? I'll ask you individually. I'll start with you, Danny. Is this the beginning of the end for Ruben Amorim? Should he either resign? Should he go, or should he stay?
Listen, I think I'm going to die on the hill. I know it's not the best argument. I'm going to die on the hill that we shouldn't sack him because there's nobody better out there. And even, we look at today's performance and it's not that great, but we look at the games against Porto, and I still think we should have come out with something better. So this might be the beginning of the end. I don't see why, though. I think if the administration looks at this game after what they said in the Champions League, that they don't demand wins against the Marseille, who hasn't been in the Champions League for a decade. If this is the beginning of the end in the administration's eyes, I don't get what the difference is between today and maybe 3-4 months ago, to be honest. So I don't think this is the beginning of the end for him. I think maybe against us fans. I see a lot of fans losing patience with the Ruben Amorim. Fans that maybe I wasn't expecting. I'll say basically basing it off Twitter. But again, I go back to the point where I don't think this is entirely up to Ruben. Of course, he takes blame. I'm not saying he doesn't take blame. I look at other games where his players don't score. But again, I look at games like today. I look at games like Porto, and I have to question his team selection because it doesn't seem right. Especially when I'm just looking at this one thing now that really pisses me off. Midtjylland had fucking 0.2 XG. What the fuck?
Yeah.
They had the one shot, really.
One shot.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really remember any.
They had the two shots, really.
Yeah, first half they had decent. They were decent going forward, but nothing special. You're right.
They had 0 shots in the first half, I think.
They had 0 shots. They just capitalized on our fuck ups because we played sloppy.
Yeah. But anyways, long story short, this shouldn't be the beginning of the end for Amorim, in my eyes, in terms of him getting sacked.
Yeah, realistically, nothing has changed. It's been overall, it's been shit for. Realistically, it's been shit for 16 months. But if we want to hyper focus in, it's been shit for at least 4, with a couple blips of positivity. It seems, but definitely the average is closer to this than it is to the Taça da Liga final against Porto that played pretty well, but did happen to lose. That is definitely not the way things trend overall, especially relatively recently for Amorim.
Well, moral victories, you can only take so many moral victories at the end of the day. You need actual results too.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
This is Sporting. We live off moral victories for decades.
Bro, I've been living.
I still talk about our 2-0 loss to Barca, about how we played them off the pitch with Jorge Jesus, bro.
To be fair, I still think about that game. I still think about the Newcastle game in the top UEFA.
There you go.
Yeah, we almost beat Real Madrid, and then Ronaldo scored
and then
a free kick that never was.
And then we did. We almost beat them, but then we didn't.
In like 2 minutes, yeah, I forgot about that one. In 2 minutes, we blew a fucking Real Madrid win.
Bruno
bro.
Cesar was the hero.
Gelson Martins was getting international headlines for his performance in that game.
He went sicko mode that game.
Yeah, dribble straight worked that game pretty well for him.
Yep, dribble straight up the middle was a strat.
Yeah, just dribble to the end line
and hope it worked. It was a.
Then figure it out from there.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question was because I asked the same question in November, and Danny and Chris, you both said the season will be saved if we finish third. We either go on a run on the Europa League or qualify for the Champions League. Obviously, the Champions League is now gone out of the question. Europa League, who knows?
Might be gone this time next week. We might be on the
third is also looking very sketchy, and we put 4 points down. That was team selection needs to improve. I think we said something about the press conferences, the loyalty to players, and he doesn't have a plan B. All 4 of those things have not changed. So in my eyes, if he's not willing to change, then I think we should get rid of him. I think he doesn't have it in him anymore. He doesn't look the same player. And what annoyed me against Porto was the press conference after when he said, "If you want me to leave, then I'll go for free." Who's
saying that for months?
Lad.
He's been saying that for a while.
I really hope that that's true, because if we were to fire him, we'd probably owe him a good amount of money. So I really hope.
Me too.
Yeah.
And he's been saying it for a while, but no other manager would say that. He would say, "Yeah, I can still win with this team. I can still do this. I still believe."
His agent's probably like, "Bro, you gotta stop."
I feel a part of it has to do with the media on him. I think that's why he says it more so than not. Maybe also the fans. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I only say that because I listened to this past press conference. I haven't heard the post-match one today, but he was even saying that because they asked him, I think the Danish press, they asked him whether he considers himself favorites, and he said he's not sure because the Danes haven't played for 3 months, but the Portuguese press can't shut up about me being fired or not. So I think a lot of that has to do with him poking at the press than it is necessarily him saying like, well, if you guys want me out, I'll leave, sort of thing.
I feel like that's
he's saying that, but it's also
problem too. Like,
yeah, of course,
Portuguese coaches don't know how to. No, this is a problem with people in Portuguese football. No one knows when to keep.
Yes, another coach would definitely.
That's
have been
true too.
Yeah,
that's true too.
No, coaches and administrators just never know when it's time to shut up and just bury your head down and get to work. That's the problem. Like that creates it creates such an unnecessary distraction for the players.
Yeah,
it's unnecessary. I get you're pissed off, absolutely, and like it's funny every once in a while, but it's becoming a weekly thing now. It's like I'm tired of this.
Here's my thing. My thing on top of anything else, I think him signing the extension, although at the time I said it was good, and I still do think it's good because I do want Amorim to stay, but now looking at it, it might be horrible. Why did we give him a contract extension, worried that he might go elsewhere, when right now his value has never been so low? And if anything, we're tying him into the long term. Now, again, like Chris said, if it's true that if we fire him, we don't have to pay shit, fair enough. Maybe we did the right thing. But other than that, like, it's just making this contract extension look a little stupid. And speaking of contract extensions too, where's Shirmitis? Where's like we're so fast to give a contract extension to like a Zan, for example, and aging players. But when it comes to youngsters that are starting to prove themselves and at least putting the effort in, it always takes so long. I don't know if Shirmitis.
I think Ugarte has stalled out as well.
I haven't heard anything on
the other
Ugarte.
person I was thinking about. So it's like
and we gave one to Jovan in the summer for whatever reason.
I don't even remind me.
Yo, big up to Jovan for taking that right away. Other players might have been like, "Nah,
it's
fuck
not
you."
It's not his fault.
No, he'd be stupid to say no.
And it was like a 4-year deal or some shit like that. Am I wrong?
I think it was like 4 or 3. Yeah, it was a long
ridiculous.
Term. But yeah,
Shout
I
out
agree.
Dave in the chat, by the way. Poor guy.
Yeah,
I agree.
Our condolences today, Dave. I watched a bit of that game and I was like, ooh.
I was watching the United. I missed it.
I had that. I was flipping back and forth a bit, and like, RIP the coefficients, Dave. We're here for you.
And I agree with what Danny was saying. I remember we said it at the time. We gave him a contract extension, and this was after he lost to Marseille twice. This was after he lost to Chaves, to Boavista. Yep. And in his worst season, you gave him a contract extension, and it almost was like, okay, this season's a write-off. That's the message it sent to me. It might have sent a message to other people. But it was like, this season's a write-off. No matter what you do, you're going to be here. If we finish 4th, 5th, if we run out the Champions League, if we get knocked out in the... Because to be honest, this isn't even really the Europa League. This is
the playoff to get into the round of 16.
It's the NBA play-in. That's what it is.
It's the play-in game.
It's not the playoffs. It's a play-in tournament at the moment. Yeah. And that as well is just, I don't understand how he can still be there. And to Dave's point, I know Danny said the same. It's not easy to find another manager. But we could look back in this and say, okay, we didn't fire him now, but let's say we give him another year, and in November we're 7th and we're out of Europe. We're going to say, I wish we would have brought someone in earlier. Yeah, and that's true. The thing. You have
to you've wasted 2 seasons. That's effectively. You've wasted 2 years.
Look at Benfica. They took a risk of firing George Jesus and they brought in Schmidt from abroad. It was a risk, and look where they are now. They're flying in the Champions League.
They're one of the best teams in Europe.
Exactly.
In Europe, not just Portugal, in the continent.
And even to get Amorim in the first place was a risk. You have to take risks to get reward. You can't just keep stagnating. That's what it is. We're stagnating. We're not going up. Yeah. We're going down. And it's all due to Amorim's team selection, his transfer selection, Trincao he wanted, Esgaio he wanted, Paulinho he wanted, and none of them have worked out.
None, yeah, that's true. But then at the same time, the administration got Slimani, that didn't work out. I'm pretty sure they got Sotiris, it didn't work out. Who else did the administration get?
Trincao and Vinagre.
Vinagre, I don't know how much is Ruben or not. Trincao's definitely Ruben.
I think Israel must have been.
Israel hasn't. He looked horrible. Even I don't want to shit on Tenlongu just yet, but
he's played 2 games and he came in mid-season. You can't shit on a guy just yet.
I can't.
Let me put more yellow cards than like assists and goals.
I want to know. I want to know where Diomande came from. If that's an Amorim or an administration signing, because low key I've been impressed with Diomande. I want Diomande to start more games. He seems good on the ball. A fucking unit of a guy. Seems like a good defender. I think he could have got the tying goal if Adan wasn't an idiot against Porto. I don't know if we'll get into that
forgot
later or not.
We're going to get into that game. I forgot about that.
Why
bring that up?
That's another thing that I'll shit on Amorim. It's like you're taking chances, but are you doing it on the right guys? I'm not sure on that.
Yeah.
But anyways.
And to this point as well, we'll move on to the Porto game in a minute. But people say like we can't compare with Benfica. Benfica have loads of money because they sell well, and Rui Costa is a good president in terms of negotiating. However, Varandas is not a good negotiator. That's why we don't own 100% of our 2 greatest assets, which are what? Ugarte, which is 70% at the moment, I think, or if not 60.
Edwards is 65 now.
Yep. Pedro Gonçalves is 50, and his value is tanking and tanking and tanking.
Yeah.
So even if we do have a season, we can't be like, we write off from so in the summer because we're not going to make as much money as Benfica do.
We also do a horrible job at reinvesting. We still have so many dead weight contracts in the club. Like, it's not even just we don't spend. When we go out and spend, it's on the most mind-boggling transfers you see. It's a Trincao where it's okay, this is 50-50 at best. It's a Vinagre who got no playing time at Wolves. Like, it's guys who just don't make sense.
The problem is the 50%. Is the main problem because most of the club's biggest assets are not fully owned.
No,
and they're closer to
Enzo Fernandez for Benfica. What they gave 20% or 10% to River Plate. That's barely anything. 20% of a deal is
120 million. It was nothing to them.
And 20% of a deal is like normal for like English clubs or whatever. But I've not heard you haven't heard Arsenal buying Trossard for 50% or Man City buying players 50%. It just doesn't make sense.
Even you can't compare us to the English teams though. That's true. But into that same
Benfica don't really do that though. Like,
you don't really say
Porto doesn't do it. Italian clubs don't do it. English teams are just in a league of their own when it comes to money. But no other team, Bundesliga teams don't do it. Augsburg aren't buying players for 50% of their pass. I don't know why we are when we're making record sales. The other big difference why you can't compare us to Benfica, not because they spend loads of money or anything. They sell their players for the release clause.
Or
we haven't done so, and Porto maybe too. I can't remember the last Porto player, but But Benfica, when it comes to Felix, Enzo, Darwin, they've been sold on their release clause. Sporting, we don't even consider. We put the release clause just for fun at this point. Under Bruno Carvalho, we sold João Mari for his release clause. And look at how he turned out against Inter. We can't sell Bruno for his release clause. Porto can't go for his release clause, and we only had a certain percentage. The other percentage has to go to City. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to this team in terms of sales, is we're making all these record sales, but not anywhere near of what we could be making. And we have the least amount of debt there. I don't understand why we're not buying players at higher prices more frequently at all.
And like you said, Benfica have self-release clause. Do you know what they also do? They put their release clauses at 120 million, not 45 million for one of the best right-backs in Europe. They need to set, like Bruno Carvalho did, every player that came in. Brian Ruiz was 31, 120 million release clause. Everyone laughed at the time. But look at it now. It makes sense to do stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, we do actually have another game to review, unfortunately, and it is another loss.
They both sucked. Both these games sucked.
Yeah, it's not been a good week for us. Probably Chris has had the worst week with the.
Chris and me had awful weeks.
Yeah. I don't mean to keep rubbing it in, Chris. By the way, just came.
He's a Bills fan. He doesn't care. He's just there for the vibes.
At least he didn't die in a riot.
Party got cut short, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to go all night, and it ended at 10 p.m.
Just before the game even started, you're like, "Yeah, I'm already here," and like, there's a car already flipped over. I'm like, "No, why the game's not even started? I haven't even done anthems. What?"
But yeah, the next game, which was last week, was against Porto on a 2-1 loss. Lineups have followed. Only 2 mistakes in goal. Dan, I'm not going to do the whole thing again. But
I'm going to go fly to London, and we're going to have words.
Inacio Coates, Mateus Reis, Fatau was a surprise inclusion at left wing back.
Yeah.
Hector Bellerin also a surprise at right wing back, considering like the game time he's had. Ugarte, Pedro Gonçalves for an injured Morita, Trincao, Edwards, and Chamiti getting the start. Paulinho coming off the bench, as well as Nuno Santos. Ricardo Ezegaio for like a 2-minute cameo. 14 minutes in total before he was subbed off again.
14 minutes of infamy.
After Gomez and Diamonde, and I also forgot to mention Trincao was subbed after 30 minutes because apparently he had tonsillitis, and Amorim still started him anyway.
Why would you start him? Why did you start him if you had tonsillitis?
How do you think he got tonsillitis, bro?
What was St. Juice's illness? He had like lactose intolerance. Fucking
yeah, for real.
He had the chance.
But yeah,
bro had tonsillitis and he still started him. Bro, you should be at home. You shouldn't even be at the stadium. You should be at home just resting. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, I'll start off since I'm here anyway.
Who was the doctor that okayed that?
The president, probably.
Well, shit doctor, revoke his license, because no doctor would sit there and say, yeah, you're good to go to work. No way.
But yeah, man, I'll start off. Like, it was, to be fair, right, I didn't think we played that awfully, considering, like, when the first goal came. I thought their goal was very lucky with Uribe. It was sort of a mistake from Ugarte and lack of defensive awareness and things. But, like, I wouldn't really blame anyone. There's a guy got the blame on social media, but I don't really blame him too much. I think it was just one of them goals that happens anyway. And, yeah, I think the game was done after that. As soon as the first goal went in, I think we all knew that was it. Jimmy, it was great to score. He technically scored 2 and was like a tiny bit offside.
He was off.
Yeah. But I'm not going to lie, by Jimmy's actual goal, I stopped watching. I went downstairs because I thought the game was done. But in terms of overall, I thought we were just sporting. That's what it is. There was no intensity. It felt like it's just the same performance every other season. It's mad to think that 2 years ago and a year ago, we were putting up fights against Porto where we were taking points away, that we should have won the game. We should have won the first game of last season where Pepe got an uppercut, and also obviously the one that Coates got sent off. We just look like a completely different team, and not a lot has changed from those games. I mean, obviously, Mateus Nunes isn't there, and Sarabia and Paulinho. But, like, Porto's team has changed for the worst, too. They got rid of Fabio Vieira. They got rid of Vitinha. Chancellor Mbemba was arguably the best centre-back in the league last year, and he's not there. But they're still beating us, and I don't think they should. I think, again, it shows lack of intensity. A weird lineup selection as well. Like Rich mentioned, having a guy who's obviously not well enough to play starting. For Tau, I thought was actually decent offensively. Defensively, he was getting cooked, but
Yeah.
he's not a defensive player. He's literally a winger
He's a
and
winger.
a striker. He's played at striker in youth games for Ghana and the teams he played before.
Yeah.
But like he was brought off, even though I thought he was good. I would like to see him play more, especially up top. I don't want him to play left wing back. I don't think it's the right position for him.
Mm-hmm.
And like we mentioned, Esgaio came on for 14 minutes. I don't know what that was about. Like that was no professional manager should be doing it unless and I know Esgaio gets hate, but he wasn't awfully bad. Like he wasn't like getting off the pitch right now. Like I don't think he deserved that as much as he has been not brilliant this season. But like David said, that is how is that supposed to improve confidence for one of your
players? Here's the thing: is that he obviously had to come off because you can't have him on if you need a goal because he offers absolutely nothing going forward. But it's like it was 0-0. I mean,
it wasn't even like they were down yet.
What was he going to do for 0-0? You still basically need to win the game either way.
You still need a goal. Like
I don't think the sub makes sense no matter what.
No, I agree with that 100%. It blew my mind. I was at a loss for words at that one.
In the same game, having two subs before like they even played a full half is mind-boggling. And a professional manager should not be doing that unless
in such a massive game, just two absolute
a youth manager should be doing that. No manager should be doing that.
Yeah, and the fact that he's taking him off after 30 minutes and after 15 is just an admission of a terrible decision.
Yeah.
Even on Football Manager, like I don't do that because I have I don't want to upset the players virtually, and he does it in the game.
If your approval rating goes down, man.
Yeah, man, I don't want to upset virtual players, but he takes him off at home in like one of the biggest games of the season. I thought it was just, this is where I look and think maybe Amorim has just given up because it just doesn't make sense to what the team selection was. Play for Tau, and like I said, I know he played well, but bringing him on when Nuno Santos scored last game against Porto, maybe two games ago last year. And like Nuno Santos is obviously our number one choice for left back and was randomly dropped. Mm-hmm. I was happy Chimiki started.
First start of the season for Fatawa. What a time to get it.
What a time to start him too. One of your do or die games early to try to salvage anything from this season, and you're like, let's put the kid.
And honestly, I guess it could have gone a lot worse.
To be honest, he looked good going forward. Defensively, he looked shaky, but he's not a left back, right? He's a winger.
To be honest, also with Fatawu, and I agree, Rich, but tell me another game that he didn't start aside from a Porto game. I feel like we bought him for the sole purpose to play against Porto.
That's weird.
I'm of the opinion I thought Fatawu played really well in those 45 minutes. I know he was getting cooked defensively, but Porto in the first half had two chances offensively anyways, and
they were on the ropes at moments. We were
pinning them the fuck back, and most of that was coming from that left wing.
Yeah, the goal is just, good the goal is just at such a deflation because it's a lucky bounce. Yeah. They really haven't done enough to deserve a goal. We've been slightly better probably, and then they score, and it's like we're not scoring two. It's like you just get that. No. It was so deflating. Like I really didn't think we were going to be able to turn it around, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. And you can tell by the players' mentality, like the players dropped. You can see.
Yeah, you can see
just the mood go down completely.
And that's the only criticism that I don't know where I should point it towards, but I'm pushing it more towards Amorim. Maybe it's the players though. Maybe it's the administration.
I think it's all of the above.
I agree. I think it's all of the above, but I'll put it on the coach because at the end of the day, we always blame coaches for this. The mentality of the squad, and I've been saying this for a while now, this year is so evident. The moment we concede, we're fucked. Mentally, we're fucked.
We're awful when we go behind.
Fucked. If it's 1-1, we can maybe salvage a result, so we're not that bad. But when we go down 1-0, even today, when we go down 1-0, this team gives up, to a sense. Did you guys hear my roommate? He's a little bozo. I hope he listens to this later. But quickly on Fatawu, my only other thing, I thought he played really well. I wish he started or he continued in the second half, if not at the left wing back spot. I was even saying we should sub off. I'm wrong now looking at it. I was saying we should sub off Shermiti, put Paulinho in the middle because Paulinho was very ineffective on the left. Taking over Trincão and have Fatawu up top because I don't know what this obsession is with Amorim for playing Fatawu as a wingback position. I seen it from preseason. I questioned it. I see it now and I question it. He's not a wingback. Like we said, he gets cooked defensively. But going forward, the kid looks fucking good. The kid looks really good. When we seen it in the Supertaça, or not the Supertaça, Taça Liga final, he was taking on a man. At least he had the bravery to take on a man. I would much rather Fatawu on the wing than Artur any day of the week. I go to back to today's game. I don't understand why Fatawu, one, doesn't even sub into the game when Amorim thinks he's good enough to maybe be the X factor against Porto. But two, I don't understand why he decides to put Artur, who's given us zero offensively, minus a wonder goal against Tottenham, when Fatawu's has shown more promise and has shown more this season in less game time than Artur. I feel bad for the kid in this case, and I feel like with Fatawu, we're gonna have another Plata, another. Who else can we say? Like maybe even you could say like Francisco Geraldes, where it's a kid that like you see like so much potential in him, but he's not gonna result because Sporting's just gonna fuck him. So I feel bad for the kid because I thought in this game he looked really well.
Yeah, and Mateus Pereira was probably another example.
Mateus Pereira, perfect example actually.
But before I pass it on to you, Rich, I'm just going to say my last point was Porto had a lot of injuries this game. Eustáquio was injured. I know he came on, but he wasn't fully fit. Evan Nilsson didn't play. Otavio, who, in my opinion, is Porto's best player, didn't play. If there was a time to win this game, it was now. And we completely bottled it. I feel like that's what we are this season, just bottlers. But anyway, Rich, what were your overall thoughts on the game?
Oh, God, this fucking game. That's all I got to say. Yeah, like we probably deserve to go into halftime at least level. That seems like the goddamn story of the season. It's like, well, we deserved a goal, but we have no one who can finish. If our lives depended on like a goal, we're gonna die. We're dying a death. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's 100%. Brutal. We need someone who can sit there and finish. This is fucking awful. I blame the coach for not wanting to go out and being stubborn and find a striker. I blame the administration for not wanting to go out and find a striker. I blame the players for not knowing how to fucking put a ball in the back of the net. You're being paid, I don't know how much. You're making more than me. I can tell you that for sure. You're definitely making more than any of us, probably combined. And you don't know how to put the ball in the net when you're looking at the net. This is brutal.
A part of it, though, is also Diogo Costa. That big save on Edwards. I know it wasn't perfectly in the corner.
He made a couple wicked saves. You got to give him that.
But then at the same time, Edwards also on that, where all he has to do is tap it in. He shoots it so wide.
He blows it wide.
You see what happens when you have a competent goalkeeper in goal.
It's facts.
Wow,
biggest
facts.
True. Biggest true. Facts. If we had a decent keeper like Diogo Costa, if we had a keeper with 50% of Diogo Costa's ability, we would win today.
We could get a keeper for 50%. We can get 50% of a pass of a keeper.
Yeah, and we're not losing that that Taça final against Porto a few weeks ago either. If we had a decent keeper,
exactly, and that's the thing. Like, I'm gonna go on a little rant here. We're making alleged record sales. We kind of went through this. We've been in Champions League now 2 seasons in a row. That's significant money coming to the club. Yet we have no money, apparently, according to everybody up top. We're making stupid signings, some of them, with deadweight contracts. We have a coach who doesn't want to change his mind about anything. He's playing favorites. He's making more and more baffling decisions. And we have a president who's basically turning all the fan base against the club because he's got a war against the clocks. The ticket prices are allegedly outrageous. They couldn't give tickets away to this fucking game. They were giving tickets away for free, and they couldn't even fill up half the stadium. That is fucking embarrassing. That is so pathetic. We deserve every piece of shit we get.
The zone commentator even today he made like I was watching it. Fuck, when he said something to the lines like not a packed stadium today in Lisbon, but at least some fans came out. Some shit like that.
It looked like an Arizona Coyotes game.
Followed by calling Isgayu Jawo or some shit like that. I can't remember how he pronounced it. But even this bozo fucking disrespect, or not disrespect, but like really come into question our fan attendance today. That's a joke. And even
like why would you? And I can't blame fans for not wanting to come out because one, why would you want to pay money to watch this team when the season is lost?
That's fair.
Like I'll say it now, and it's funny. I came on the show as a guest in September, and I said if we lose the game to Porto, the first Classico to Porto, the season's gonna be done. We could be in for a long season. I got slated in the comments for that. everything I said with Nostranevs over here. Fucking called it from the beginning. I said this is going to be the 2020, the 2018, 2019, whatever season with Kaiser Ball, where we're going to be shit because we sold our best players and we sat there. We didn't replace anybody, and now we're like, shit, we're up shit creek without a paddle because we've just done nothing. How could this have happened? Who could have predicted this except everybody? That's my first rant because we got another rant I'm gonna have to go on later today. That's my rant on this stupid team.
Yeah,
they don't deserve any more of my time today, anyway.
While you're being Mystic, Rich, what are the lottery numbers for tonight, man? Or for the next
one? What's
hold on. This might be actually important. We're both from Canada. Hurry up, Rich.
We're gonna get.
I got the notes on. I got the notes on pad. Let's go.
All right, 7, 18, 34.
Okay. 3 more.
42.
42.
47.
47.
65.
Say less. I don't know if it goes
if that somehow comes.
I don't know if it goes past 59 though.
If that's the
I don't think the Lotto Max goes past 59, but I'll take it. We'll try it out.
Okay, well then pick the next
highest one. Don't worry, I got you.
If that's the Lotto numbers, I'm actually gonna shoot myself. I'm gonna cry. Cry myself to sleep. What's Lotto Max up to, by the way, Danny?
No idea. I just know that my roommate's been playing Lotto Max, and she's always trying to convince us to like join in. And I'm like, bro, what's the point?
We used to do the pool at
when I worked
at Denny's. We used to do the pool of like 10 of us. So it'd be like, oh, Lotto Max up to 50 million. If we win, we each get like 5 mil or something crazy, right? Like
that's amazing.
Like I'll take it.
I don't know what 5 million can do in Toronto, but it's maybe like a shot.
Something in Kingston. Toronto, you're getting nothing. Toronto, you're getting like a box.
Chris, what were your overall thoughts on this Porto game?
I guess the only thing that I feel like is worth adding is honestly the disgrace of Paulinho even playing in this game. Just sad to do that. It's one thing to do it for João Paulinho when you're in the title race. It's honestly, it was good shithousery, and you can make the argument that like it was an undeserved 5th yellow. But I mean, this Paulinho playing in this game, I mean, I don't even think like anyone was like, let's go! Like we got our record signing. Like we got him for the big game.
They did, but it was like in a meme. Like, all right, let's go. It wasn't.
There was zero.
No hype.
We're excited by this.
Yeah.
All it does is just make the club look pathetic. Yeah, man. It's just sad. It sets a bad example. It sets a bad precedent. It just like it's just bullshit. That's really all I think about it.
Mm-hmm. Paulinho made me yearn for Thiago Tomas, and if you know me, you know how much I fucking hate Thiago Tomas. That's saying something. That says a lot, because I cannot stand that guy, and I was yearning for Thiago Tomas.
But on him, I think he's coming back next season. I think that's why we haven't.
He's shit too.
No, Stuttgart. I think Stuttgart can't afford him. I think think Stuttgart.
I think they're in the relegation zone.
Our option for them to buy is like high. Is a little high.
It's like 7.5 or some shit.
I thought it was
15.
I think it was 10, but then I think after past January, it went up to 14 or 15.
Oh, yeah, they're not paying that.
I still say I think the reason why I say that is because we haven't bought a striker. I think that's because we're planning on Tomas next season. I think that's why.
God help us.
To be fair,
can't be any worse,
love to compare the two. They both have 2 goals in their respective leagues.
They do.
Let's go.
They do.
One's not really better than the other at this moment.
But Stuttgart is a much worse. Stuttgart is a worse team than Sporting is.
At this moment,
a much better
I don't know.
Too.
I don't know about that one.
Fair.
Stuttgart's also playing in a much better league. We play in the fucking fiefdom Mickey Mouse 2-Gal league. Like,
but big game.
They're playing in a real league.
Thiago Tomas scored against Bayern Munich. Like, I mean,
facts.
2 big game players, just a shame about everything in between.
Anyway. We don't have enough big games, I guess. I don't know.
God help us.
It seems like every game is a big game at this point, but I don't know. Like,
it is. If that is the case, just before we move on, is it going to be Paulinho, Chimetti, Thiago Tomas, or is it going to be Paulinho, Thiago Tomas, Chimetti, or
it should
Chimetti,
be Paulinho? It'll be Paulinho, Chimetti, Thiago Tomas, I think. Or Shermiti, Paulinho, Tiago Tomas, depending on how Shermiti
It'll be Paulinho, Shermiti, and Tiago Tomas playing right wing back or some shit like that.
Tiago Tomas playing wide, and then this is the thing with Tiago Tomas is he runs a lot. No one runs as hard as that guy, but he suffers from Scott McTominay syndrome, which is the reason he's running so much. He's always out of fucking position. He doesn't know where he needs to be on the pitch, so he's just running around hoping to find the ball.
On that, you reminded me. Bellerin did look good this game, but I thought defensively, the same way we said Fatawu got cooked, I think Bellerin got cooked, but because he's a pace merchant to a certain degree, I think he recovered it well in time. And Pepe is also, or Galeno, I forgot who he came up against, was also isn't the fastest human being in the world either. So like he can recover in places. Nonetheless, I still liked Bellerin. But going back to our purchases, I still think Bellerin was more of that name signing than what we actually needed, or like a Porro replacement. You know what I mean? It's just a Spaniard with a name that used to play for an English team that came from Barcelona. It could have been anybody, but it just happened to be Hector Bellerin. I think he'll be good, though. I think he'll be good.
He's an upgrade from Esgaio, but yeah, he hasn't shown really anything yet.
Yeah.
He's also had 2 or 3 games. Like he's not. But
in this Porto game, I think he could have had 2 assists if his colleagues knew how to fucking score a goal. Edwards being one of them, and I forget who the second chance was, but he had a decent second chance, like a pass like right above the box. Maybe it was Trincão. I can't remember now, but it was like not directly in. He like cut it past like in front of the box. Somebody hit it, and I think it deflected off a Porto player or something like that.
There was the one right at the end where that paella-eating prick Haddad got in Diamante's way.
That wasn't – Bellerin was off at that
Diamante would have had a free header at goal at the very least.
I think he gets that on target at least.
He gets it – at the very least is getting it on target. I don't know if he's scoring. Yeah. But that paella-eating motherfucker took a scoring chance away from Diamante.
And on that, this is my last point, I swear, on this Porto game. My last point. I feel like I've been talking about this Porto game since we talked about fucking Midtjylland. But the last point on that is Adan. Okay, we're talking about, and this is another thing I shit on Adan for. When he first came, we talked about his experience, blah, blah, blah. That you're right. Maybe he does come with experience. I don't see that experience because
of sitting behind better goalies in Spain.
Yeah,
exactly.
He sat behind Oblak. He sat behind Casillas for like a decade. Like
he sat behind who did Mourinho drop Casillas for?
Adan.
He played. No. He played for Roma. Diogo Lopez. There we go.
Lopez. Yeah.
Listen, but the thing is with Adan and this experience that we're talking about, if you're so experienced. I mean, okay, maybe I'm a short king, but I know not to jump backwards. I know not to jump backwards onto a header. If a header is going past you and you're jumping backwards, likelihood is you're not winning this header. Instead of not jumping, maybe just, I know you're a goalkeeper, you're rushing up to the box. Good for you. Congratulations. Allow it, bro. Diamante could have had that. And I think that's a goal, but at the very least, it's going on target. Now, if you're jumping backwards to win a fucking header, you're not going to fucking win it. Leave it, bro. No. Leave it be. But anyways, that's my last rant on this Porto game. Good job, Porto. You didn't deserve this win again. And it's games like this where I think why we should keep Amorim, right? Like, I still don't see us. I've seen Silas. I've seen Thiago Fernandes.
Or whatever.
I've seen, Kaiser to a degree. Who was before? I seen us put up with Paulo Bento for 2 years when Paulo Bento's number one philosophy was just counterattacking. You know what I mean? I seen that. So I see Amorim and I see him wanting to keep possession. That's why I still think we should give Amorim a chance. I think he's a young manager. I think he needs to learn from his mistakes 1,000,000%. And I can't blame him for his players making stupid mistakes. Of course, we can bash him for team selection, and he deserves the criticism. But this is why I think we should keep Amorim, is because of performances like this against Porto, where I think we do really well. I just don't understand why it doesn't translate against Midtjylland, why it doesn't translate against Rio Ave, who we were lucky to beat, why it doesn't translate against Boa Vista earlier this year. That's my main thing. I don't know who to blame there. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, we'll move on to something that isn't technically related to sporting, but I know Rich has wanted to get it off his chest for a while. And that is
dropped after the last show. I forgot. Because we've been ranting for the last hour.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. You all three of you predicted it last week in the Europa League.
Danny called it, and they announced it the next day. By the way, that was hilarious.
So just before I get you started, Rich, the European Super League it has a new proposal, which is between 60 to 80 teams, multiple divisions, no permanent members, minimum games of 14 per club, and also the main thing is a lot more funding for clubs. So, Richard, without further ado, please, the floor is yours.
All right, here we fucking go, lads. So, we've done this thing. We've done this song and dance before with the Super League. So the difference is, they claim, is that you're gonna get qualified on merit. We don't know what the merit is because they were very vague about that. So no one really is sure what's going on. 60 to 80 teams is still less than what gets access to current UEFA competitions. Between Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League, it's 92 teams in the 32 team formats. And are we really going to trust teams that have been...
And even more get access in qualification, too.
Yeah. You have teams that still get like Europe, like at least a round or two within qualification. So you're cutting that out completely. I have no trust of whatever this A22 company, they're a shell company for Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Juve. Let's call it what it is. Because we've never heard of them up until like this week. They're a brand new company, never heard of before in our lives. And does anybody really trust the teams that are committing money fraud to adequately look after and manage the money for all of European football? I fucking think not. I'm sorry. They showed their fucking hand the first time. We know what's going to happen. They're going to say it's open now, and it's all fine and dandy, and people will sell their soul to the devil for it, but their ass is going to belong to Real Madrid and Barcelona in 5-10 years when they decide, oh, we're just going to change this, and we're just going to change that, and it's going to be like Champions League, where they slowly and steadily start stacking the fucking deck against the teams that aren't from England, that aren't from Spain, that aren't from Italy, and aren't from fucking Germany. So the Portuguese teams, the Dutch teams, the Scottish teams, the Ukrainians, whatever, we're going to be the ones getting the short end of the straw. And we've already seen their hand. They want a closed fucking shop for them so they can collect their money and have their all-star Mickey Mouse teams. So there.
Cool. I'm going to play devil's advocate a bit.
You bastard.
Because
you rat bastard.
only because, and it's because of the way the Champions League is changing. And if you haven't played Football Manager, you won't really know what I'm talking about. If you have, you will. So it changes into a league format instead of groups and whatever. It also changes. Some clubs will get in due to previous performance in Champions League. Which one
I thought they scrapped that though.
I don't know. You probably have to fact check that one. But as far as I'm aware,
someone in the comments fact check that for us, please.
Yeah, but if that is the same thing, then it's pretty much this. That is a Super League right now.
Yeah.
The only thing that I agree with, maybe not from like the Real Madrid and Barcelona side, there needs to be more evenly distributed money towards the clubs. And at the moment, I think England will have 5 teams in next year's or the year after Champions League competition. Portugal will most likely only have 2, apart from if coefficients go in a better way.
They're not.
What? Yeah, they're not going to. And that means the Portuguese league is going to suffer with lack of money. It's going to be Sporting. It's probably going to be the ones that are going to miss out. Let's be honest here. If not Braga as well, that miss out. And for me, I think more money is needed. And I'm not saying this Super League is the way to go, like this exact proposal, but there needs to be a whole redesign, I think, of like Champions League, Europa League, even Conference League, because it's always going to be the same thing, which is the same. Like, we're never going to see a Porto. This is the example I use, a Porto Champions League run where the underdogs go and win it, even though they had a good team.
We're never going to see that again from a Portuguese or a Dutch. Ajax was the last team that came close, but they had such an unbelievable like wonder kid team too, right? Like we're never seeing that again. I don't think.
I think we will see it again. I'm convinced we will. It's going to be too far. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to be too. You're not going to predict it, right? And then the problem is with this that I think is once there is another Ajax, another Porto, another Monaco. Monaco is, they had Bernardo, Fabinho, etc. The moment and Monaco and Ajax are a perfect example of this. The moment those teams appear, they get raided quickly. So I agree with Sam, though. I agree that there needs to be some sort of like better distribution of wealth, because at this moment, from what I see from the outside looking in, it just seems like English teams are cruising. English teams get all the money, especially if you're in the Premier League, because there's no reason a team like Brighton, who's never, in my lifetime at least, has never participated in any European competition. West Ham just started participating in European competitions. There's no reason why they should be buying players for 20, 30, 40 million. You know what I mean? So I think the main issue is that all the money, all the advertisements, and maybe deservingly so, because they get all the attention, they get packed stadiums.
You know what it is? They, to the Premier League's credit, they don't operate their league like a fiefdom. Spain, Portugal, Italy to an extent, France lately, they operate like fiefdoms. They operate to cater to the same clubs. And so you're never going to get any additional money coming in when you're not doing anything to create new fans. There's no competition outside of the top 3 or 4. That doesn't help.
The only thing with the Super League that scares me, though these new proposals do seem better, the only thing that scares me is even excluding Sporting, Porto, Benfica, because I think at the end of the day, the 4 of us, I'll say, will be all right. But all right, relatively all right. Because I think of the Guimarães of this world. I think of the Rocas of the world. I think Braga will be all right. I think of Boa Vista, who's a big club in Portugal, because we already know what happened to Belenenses. Yeah. I think of teams like, I think of teams like Sassuolo, Sampdoria. You know what I mean? I think Fiorentina, I think they're going to get really fucked up over this. And Sporting as well. But I think Sporting might be in like the 4th tier of this Super League. If you know what I mean? If it goes like that. My other only worry is that this European Super League, the heads of it, they might propose that it's a better distribution of wealth. But at the end of the day, it's not.
It's not. They're gonna wait. They're gonna wait heavily for them.
But exactly.
Like, and this is what they've done in the Champions League. They've complained about the and this is where you can absolutely, I think, criticize UEFA 100%. Is UEFA kept caving to these clubs, giving them more leverage and more say in how things are done, and that's not how you run a democratic system. The democratic system is, I get a vote. If Sporting gets a vote, Real Madrid gets a vote, Manchester United gets a vote, Leicester City everyone's vote counts for the same. And UEFA over the years was making it so the votes of Real Madrid and Barcelona and all these kind of super clubs that are in that top tier were basically kind of running the show anyways. And now it's like, we've made our bed, and now we have to lie in it. And this is kind of the end game for them anyways. They've always wanted, this isn't a new thing. Like, Real Madrid's been pushing this for like 30 years. They've wanted a closed shop. They've shown their hand. That's why I don't trust them. They've shown their hand continuously that what they want is NBA style closed shop, zero consequences, but lots of money.
Which is fair enough to them. I get it. Especially a team like City. I get it.
I understand it, but you're gonna throw away over 100 years of tradition because you need to make a few more $1 million. Like, really?
Exactly.
You're gonna destroy the ecosystem of football, destroy so many local clubs, so many jobs in those local clubs because you can't stand to see them even possibly fathom the possibility that they could maybe one day just kind of get to the Champions League. Because Leicester City spooked a lot of people. Leicester City pissed off a lot of those big Premier League teams because they realized, oh shit, they could do it. Anyone could do it. They got to play with the big boys, and it scared a lot of the big boys because it was a shot to the side where they went, oh shit, anything could happen now.
But I think that's the magic of the Premier League. I think that's why Premier League has always been not always, but especially now has been number one. It's because, we realize more than ever, especially now, any team could beat any team on a given day. I mean, Chelsea and Liverpool are 10th and 9th for the currently. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, my issue is, and I think where I agree with Sam, I think definitely we need change. My issue is that the distribution of wealth currently is where most leagues, at least, maybe outside of Spain and not even really only outside of England, the most leagues are looking that we get a good player and we sell them off to the Premier League because we'll pay a ransom for them. And obviously that needs to change because one, Premier League might not, they're going to get fed up with overspending on players and assets. But two, us, as a Sporting fan, we shouldn't be relying on Manchester United to come buy our best youngster or our best player for us to survive and stay afloat. Or we shouldn't also be depending on Champions League money to stay afloat. You know what I mean? We should rely on it in terms of like spending more.
It should be seen as a nice
to
like,
stay
bonus.
afloat. Exactly. We shouldn't be for a Sporting's perspective. We shouldn't be depending on Champions League so that we don't sell half their squad. Now, whether that comes down to administration or not, but that's
Barcelona too. Like that's the thing. Like Barcelona's been in such financial shambles. They banked on winning Champions League, like at least getting the quarterfinals of Champions League this year. And they're playing Europa League today. Like that's the problem. Is these teams are so because a lot of them too have just mismanaged their finances. They don't know what to do anymore. They're out of ideas. They want security by any means possible.
That's not the league's problem.
That's a team problem.
That's a team problem. That's Barcelona's problem. Nobody else's. But the fact that it's Barcelona and Real Madrid might be in the same boat. Manchester City are looking like they're in the same boat financially. United might be in the same boat. Arsenal, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. That's why they, these big teams decide to come together. That's the issue. Because it shouldn't be, Barcelona's broke, so we should all reform the system. No, it should be Barcelona's broke because they fucked millions.
I think too, just to cut you off, I think they feel like it's owed to them. And I'm sorry, in sports, if you're shit, you're shit.
Yeah.
If I watch a lot of hockey. If my team misses the playoffs, guess what? We're shit. We don't get fuck all.
But the difference is your team won't get. You're a Bruins fan, right?
I'm a Bruins fan.
I wish Bruins can get. Listen, I wish Bruins can get relegated, but
that's not gonna happen.
They can't.
We can't. But that's the point. There's no that's the thing. That's the beauty about football, though. If you're bad, there's a consequence, and they don't want they want to avoid the consequence because they feel it's their God-given right to play Champions League. They feel it's their God-given right to get most of the money, and that's not how this fucking works.
Exactly, but that's also
work for what you want,
and that's also the beauty of this sport. And this is my last point. That's also the beauty of this sport. That what was the German team? Hamburg, never been relegated before in their history. Was relegated 2 years ago. Everton probably never. I don't think has ever been relegated. Looking like they're going to get relegated
for a long time, right?
Looking like they're going to get relegated. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of it. Man United were relegated. Liverpool were relegated.
Yeah.
I mean, City, bro. I grew up knowing City in the second league, bro. I didn't know what a Manchester City was.
I barely knew
Manchester City. Rob Bingo didn't even know what a Manchester City was when he signed for them. You know what I mean?
Thought he was that motherfucker thought he was signing for United. He just saw Manchester City. Oh, fucking sign me up. Let's go.
And my issue with it is that a team like City. You can even, look at Chelsea to a certain degree as well, is teams like that are coming into changing the rules around when they benefited from the old platform, how it was, you know what I mean? So, but I mean, we'll see what this means for Sporting. I just don't think
see what it means for football as a whole. Cause there's still their lawsuit in the court of arbitration to be decided on probably later this year, I think was the timeline. I wasn't sure if it was the spring or the fall, so we'll kind of find out what's going to happen with that, because that's going to have monumental kind of implications for the sport as a whole. I absolutely agree. I think there does need to be a total reform of how the wealth is distributed, how the competitions are formatted. I don't think this is it, and it's mainly because I don't trust the people behind it to do right by not just by any team. Because who's to say that Benfica's not there in 20 years, just as an example. And then they say, no, we're not big enough. You don't bring in enough money. Fuck you. You're excluded. Like, that's the point. They're just going to start. I don't trust them to sit there and do right by any club, let alone my own. Because it's not just about my club now. It's about everybody. And that's my big concern. Is I don't want someone who's a dedicated fan to see their club get shut out because Fiorentino Perez said so. Because that's not how this works. That's not how it should work.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say, then we'll move on.
Oh, you got something to say, do you? No, just kidding. Go ahead.
Just to a while ago with Danny's point saying like he thinks you will see like an underdog win, but what I meant was like an underdog, not from a top 5 league, because the top 5 leagues are so like the money is ridiculous. Even in France, like let's say a mid-table team in France will still have probably a better wage structure than Sporting does. Maybe not Benfica or Porto, but definitely better than Sporting Braga, players like that. So I don't think this current Champions League format will give someone like a Porto, even someone like I don't know, maybe an
Ajax or
Ajax
Celtic.
sort of in the middle. But yeah, like a Celtic or someone like that. They're not going to be able to make that jump because of the way it's set up. And like
by the way, I don't think they'll win. By the way, I think we'll see a nice run, but that's best. And I agree with you.
But that's my point. We're never going to see that win again.
Agreed. But
it's going to be.
I don't think we'll ever see that win in a European Super League either, though.
No, and that's my point. You're already starting to see it even in the Europa League. Like you're starting to see it's just passed around between the same handful of leagues.
Bro, Roma won the Conference League last year. It's not like Roma's a small team.
They're one of the more well-supported teams in Italy,
in the world.
Really? Well, yeah, probably because there's a lot of diaspora like in Canada that are like Roma.
I know a few Roma fans here.
Roma Napoli fans are big in Canada. I know that, but like,
shout out Napoli.
That's the point. Like, you're even with the second and third tier competitions, it's starting to become just a pass up between the same 4 or 5 leagues, and it's quickly becoming the same handful of teams each year, and that's the problem, I think.
Yeah, and so the only last thing I'm going to say, I'm saying if this is true and that the money will be distributed equally and stuff, and like let's say this is all like obviously we can all say now it's probably bollocks, but let's say it's true. As a Sporting, Benfica, or Porto, you have to take that because you're not going to get that money from the Champions League. You have to.
Exactly.
If you're getting more than Champions League, it is tough to say no.
That's why when the English clubs did it, everyone turned against them because they literally don't need it. They make the most money.
They had the least to gain out of it.
Exactly. Whereas
except for Tottenham, because Tottenham shit. But
yeah, for Tottenham and Arsenal, I understood. But like for a team like Sporting or Brighton, Benfica, whatever, even teams like Ajax and outside the top 5 leagues, then to me, I think they should and they probably would take it.
Yeah.
But
I kind of agree with James on that last point, and then
the World Cup, yeah.
To me,
there's too much. It's too much about money now. It's not about common sense. I think is the problem, and it's too bad because I think if you looked at if people just used a bit of common sense, the money would still come, but no one wants to spend more than a handful of minutes on just the quickest solution and not what might be the best solution overall that would still make them the money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if James means the World Cup because, like, I think pretty sure James is a big Ronaldo guy. So I don't know if you're saying because Messi won. Because I know a lot. I'm not saying this is James, but a lot of people are saying that was rigged towards Messi and stuff.
Low key,
bro. World Cup's been rigged since like '98.
But football is. You've seen the scripts, man.
Korea.
We've seen the memes.
There's a famous story. I just want to get off topic real quick. There's a famous story, and if you haven't read this book, I really recommend it. It's called The Fix by Declan Hill. And they go into detail about how they're almost positive the World Cup in '98 was fixed. Because
that's the one where Korea went to the semis.
That's the 0-2 one you're thinking. '98 was it was R9 Ronaldo in Brazil, and it was in France, and some guy bet like an absurd amount of money on France to beat Brazil like by 2 or more goals in the final. And everybody's like, "Are you fucking mad? Brazil's the defending champion. They're the best team in the world, and they have prime Ronaldo. Like, what are you talking about?" And France won the final.
Was that the one where Ronaldo had like a fit before the game?
Something happened to him before the game. We never found out what really happened. Yeah.
It's definitely
he also details in the book how he was invited to watch people fix matches at the 06 World Cup.
Yeah, match fixing has been in football in soccer, football, whatever you want to call it.
It's a really good book.
Benfica in our league. We know
exactly. I mean,
he gets into
26. What was the league we won? We lost 2016, right?
2016.
Yeah, by 2 points.
There we go. Enough
so he gets into the Juventus Calciopoli match fix. He gets into the Pitturado as well in that book. He gets into a lot of stuff. He did his research. It's The Fix by Declan Hill. Please go out and find it. It's one of the best football books I've ever read. It's really interesting.
We got to get him.
Some of the stories are just some of the stories. Let's get Declan Hill. That'd be a dream. That dude's like, he did some research for this book. I will say that he's got some hilarious story, like just absurd stories about match fixing in this book.
Cool. Chris, do you have any modalities / loose end / other events in the sporting world that you want to go on?
The handball team clinched second in their group for European League. They had clinched the knockout round, but they won another big game, so now they've clinched at least second. Track and field, women's and men's indoor national champions. 2 player notes from the B team. Estev's not in the squad because he's overweight, and Sotiris is now starting for the B team. So that's how things are going for 2.
I watched that full game, and I really wish I didn't.
Sotiris had a nice little spin, bro. I couldn't get the fuck.
Yeah.
Every time I'm scrolling on my timeline, it's like Sotiris. Then whatever. Sotiris.
She's got some good PR team.
They were up 1-0 and then lost 2-1 in the 89th minute.
Yeah.
Rough.
And the ladies lost to Benfica yet again.
Again. I think we've done like 4 shows in a row now where they've lost to Benfica. I'm pretty sure.
It's bad.
We got our first record stories kind of alluding to the dangers of Sporting's finances should they not qualify for the Champions League. Yeah. So, when Record is reporting that story that the storm is coming. Matias Fernandez retired as well. So shout out to him.
We'll always have the free kick against Man City when they became oil merchants.
Legend.
You'll never fucking take that away from me. God damn it.
A player I wish played more years for Sporting. Like
I wish he had a better team around him. He was so much fun to watch.
He would have been nice. Regardless.
Oh, if he could have had like the team when like Bruno and them were around, like if he had been around then in his prime, fuck, that would have been so much fun.
Yeah.
He had to play with like Fito Ronaldo and like Evaldo. Unfortunately, he didn't get a lot of good help.
Yeah. And shout out to Diego Capel, who said, well, not anymore in my time zone, but turned 35 today. So shout to him.
Happy birthday. That's another one who was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Diego Capel.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, before we sign off, just remember that we still have a giveaway alert. And once we hit to 1,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away a sports shirt of your choice from Loja Verde. We'll pay for shipping if you're outside Portugal as well. All you have to do is subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, which link is in that tweet, and take a screenshot as proof and reply to it. If you don't have a Twitter account, it takes like 5 minutes to set up. It's completely free as well, so you won't have to pay to anything. It's also free to subscribe. So if you do want a chance of winning a sporting shirt of your choice from Loja Verde, just give us a follow, subscribe to us, and also take a picture as proof. But yeah, apart from that, I think we'll wrap it up there. It's been an eventful podcast. I think we got a lot off our chest. A very good therapy session, if I do say so myself.
It was a good group therapy session. Thank you, boys. I needed that. We needed that.
But yeah, make sure to follow the guys here. Make sure you follow Chris here. Shout out to Steph, who doesn't have social media, but shout out to the patron, Steph. We love you, Steph. Make sure you follow Richard here. And follow Mr. Danny Saldana over here. And of course, if you want to follow myself here as well, make sure to follow us on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at SPORTING160_EN. We've been ramping up the content on YouTube as well, not just podcasts. We've been doing a few videos, and there's definitely going to be a lot more to come. Shout out Rich, by the way, doing the thumbnails and the graphic stuff, really putting his time into it. So shout out to you, Rich. Again,
shout out to Sam for taking the time to film those videos and to do the TikToks as well, which I then just cut up into the shorts for YouTube. So shout out to Sam as well. He's putting in the shift.
Team effort, boys. Team effort.
Facts.
But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hopefully we'll see you next time when the results are a bit better, hopefully. Probably be about the same sort of time, I would assume, after the Europa League game. I'd look to be here a week today. Hopefully with a better result, but hope you guys have a lovely week.
Welcome back to group therapy.
Yeah, but hope you guys have a lovely week. Hopefully Sporting do as well with 2 games on the horizon. But other than that, peace.